G'day, Mike here from agencysavvy.com, and in this module we're going to talk about keywords. These are absolutely fundamental to any AdWords account. So before we talk about the interface and talk about how to go find keywords, let's start at the top. Let's start with a big picture here and just introduce the concept of the intent behind a keyword. So there are research terms, and I'm going to suggest that when you're starting out with AdWords, you do not put research terms inside your account. You don't want to be paying money for that just yet. I did an audit for a guy's AdWords account this week. He's an IT provider in the States. I won't mention the name of the city, but he was bidding on a phrase like single word cloud and cloud computing. Now, someone that's typing in that stuff, they may well be ready to buy, but that keyword doesn't show any kind of intent. It could be kids doing homework projects. Somebody is probably still at the research stage, and generally a 1 or 2 word phrase is going to indicate that they're in that research phase. They don't quite know what they should be searching for yet. TV would be another one, or which TV to buy, obviously. So some words in there are going to tell you if they're in the research phase, and then once they've done a bit of research, they've poked around a bit, then the next level down they're going to start comparing different products and different providers, different service providers, different stores. Now you may want to bid on those, but again I'm going to suggest for now that you don't, and you focus on these bottom of the funnel buying terms for now. So what is that? It's a keyword that you can see just by looking at it, that somebody is ready to buy whatever it is that you have to offer. Now, if you're selling physical goods, then that'll often be model numbers and part numbers. You know, buy Samsung, I don't know what it is, PX55ZYG. Somebody knows exactly what they want. And if you can get in front of those people just as they're pulling the wallet out the back pocket, then you're going to have a much, much better chance of success. And those are the ones that are more likely to be profitable. So I'm going to talk about this concept quite a bit through this course. You want to go after the stuff that is most likely to be profitable first. That might be the people that live closest to you. It might be people that are on desktops rather than mobiles or tablets because they're more likely to fill in a form and buy. It might be people between 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, because you want to get phone calls and less people are calling on the weekend. Whatever it is, there's all sorts of different ways you can look at that, and keywords is another one of those. Go after the stuff that is most likely to be profitable. Now, if we're going to talk about keywords, we need to talk about this other term, search terms. I've known people that have run AdWords accounts for years before they really made the distinction between these two things. So let's figure it out early. The keyword is what you choose. The keyword is what lives inside your AdWords account, and it acts like a magnet. And it attracts search terms that are similar to the keyword. The search term is what the person, the searcher, actually goes and types into Google. So for example, if I had typed into Google Samsung 4K TV and you had the keyword Samsung TV in your AdWords account, then there's a pretty decent match between those two, and we'll worry about different types of matching later on, but essentially those two match, and so there's a good chance that I'm going to see your ad. Same with TV from Samsung, or the slightly misspelt Samsung TV. All of those three are a pretty close match to Samsung TV, and there's a good chance that I'll see your ad. But if I type in buy new TV, then, well, there's not really that close of a match there between the two, and I probably won't see your ad. In certain circumstances I might, but let's not worry about those now. I probably won't see your ad. And so one of the biggest distinctions to make when you're running AdWords is understanding that you control the keyword, but you also need to keep an eye on your visitors' search terms, and that's going to tell you if you're kind of heading in the right direction or not. It's going to tell you if you need to change your keywords, update them, and do other things that we're going to talk about as we go through the rest of this course. So now that we know what keywords are, how many of them? How many keywords should you start with? Now, I'm going to assume if you're going through this course that this is your very first AdWords account, or certainly fairly early in your AdWords career. So I'm going to suggest you start in that sort of maybe 5, 10, 20, probably no more than 50 range. And as you start to get a little bit more advanced, then you can have a few hundred. Now, if you want to sort of dive in the deep end, feel free, knock yourself out, start with 2, 3, 4, maybe 500 keywords. But you don't need to start with thousands and thousands of them, because that's just going to be more to manage. Sure, some of the accounts my team manages here for some of our clients might have 1 million keywords in, but they've been doing this a long time, and we've got tools to help us manage all of that. So don't think that to be a good AdWords account, it has to have tens of thousands of keywords in. Please don't make that mistake. What's far, far more important is that they are highly, highly relevant, again, most likely to be profitable, highly relevant to the products and services that you sell. And that list is going to grow, because if you've used good keywords to begin with, you're going to start making money, which is great. And then you're going to discover new search terms. You're going to be looking through the reports inside your AdWords account and find new search terms, and you're going to add those as keywords. And that's going to help you discover more. And you'll add those into your account as new keywords. And that list is going to grow and grow over time. So you don't feel that you have to research this thing, and I have seen people do this, research this thing for weeks, maybe a month or more, before you start running AdWords. Sure, do a bit of research, obviously, put a bit of brain power behind it, but don't spend more than a day on your keyword research. An hour might be enough. And where are you going to go find these keywords from? Well, think about your business first and foremost. Brainstorm it. Think laterally. Think, how would I search for this product or service if I was searching, if I was ready to buy now, if I had already decided, and already is such a powerful word in marketing. Your initial prospect, the person you're going after to begin with, is someone that has already decided that they need your product or service. You don't have to convince anybody, because convincing people is expensive. So choose keywords that someone that has already decided might use. And you can go up the funnel later on. You can go after those comparison and those research terms later on, but let's start down at the bottom. People that have already decided to buy. So let's use buying keywords. Talk to other people. Once you've had a bit of a brainstorm, talk to other people inside your business. Talk to your client. If you're doing this for a client, ask them, their customer service people. Talk to friends and family if you really need to. Talk to other people. Jump on a Facebook group that sort of specializes in paid traffic and ask some questions there. There's lots of places to go get help. Now, there's a tool that you'll find inside of Google AdWords. I'm not going to go into it in any detail at all in this course, but if you come and find me at agencysavvy.com, I've got about a half-hour video where I walk you through how to use this tool in great detail. Happy to give you a copy of that. Just find us at agencysavvy.com, get in touch, and I'll make that available to you. Now, there are paid spied tools, and I do see a lot of people when they start off using something like AdWords, they go and buy all of these things, and they go spend a bunch of money, and they're not very expensive, but one might be $100, another one might be $150 a month, this one might be $50 a month. You don't need to be spending the $100 or $500 a month on these things, certainly not when you start out. That can come later when you're running a big agency, and some of those tools can be fantastic, but you don't need them yet. So I'm not even going to name names on those. You don't need them yet. The Google Keyword Planner tool, if you can spend an hour playing with that and learn how to use that, you'll be golden. Now, if we're going to talk keywords, we need to talk about this thing called keyword match types. This is something that confuses a lot of people that are new to Google AdWords, and it really doesn't need to. Once you understand the meanings of these three words in front of you, exact, phrase, and broad match, then it will all make complete sense. And 2 minutes from now, that's where you're going to be. So exact match first. The exact match keyword is denoted with these square brackets that you see right at the top of the screen. So if we choose the exact match keyword of Samsung TV, and we tell Google, I only want the exact match keyword, Samsung TV, that tells Google only match to people that are typing in, remember the difference in keywords and search queries, only match to the search query, which is exactly Samsung TV. If there are other words before or after Samsung TV, then it's not going to be a match. So Samsung 4K TV, with a new word in the middle there, isn't going to be a match. Cheap Samsung TV isn't going to be a match. Only the exact search query is an exact match to that keyword. Exact match keywords. So exact match are very powerful in a way in that you don't really need to worry about making mistakes. You know exactly who you're going to get to your website if you use exact match keywords. The downside is it's a little bit limiting. So you need more and more keywords in order to get more people to your website, in order to get more people seeing your ad. So the next level down, if you like, is phrase match keywords. Now, phrase match is denoted with the double quotes around the keyword that you see at the top there. So quote Samsung TV, quote. That says to Google, this is a phrase match keyword. I only want to match, Google, I only want you to match me to people that are searching for a search query that contains the phrase Samsung TV, which means these words have to be in that order with nothing in between them, but they can have other words before and or after. So Samsung TV is a match. Yes, it is exactly the same, but it also contains the phrase. It doesn't contain anything else, but it contains the phrase Samsung TV. And cheap Samsung TV also has the phrase Samsung TV in, so yes, that's a match. And then your ad is eligible to show. Now, Samsung 4K TV obviously is not a match for that phrase because the phrase, those two words in that order, together with nothing in between them, the phrase Samsung TV does not appear in Samsung 4K TV, nor does it appear in the single word Samsung. And so the bottom two examples there, your ad would not show for. So this, again, gets a little bit broader than exact match. So you don't have to have every single keyword in your account, but there are still some potentially relevant search queries that you're not going to show up for. And that's why some people will then run ads or let's say put keywords in the account that are broad match keywords. Now this is the default. If you don't understand match types, when you start typing keywords into your AdWords account, this is what they're going to be. They're going to be broad. Now the danger of this is Google now has a lot of leeway to go and show your ads wherever it wants. So if you have the broad match keyword of Samsung TV, it will match all kinds of stuff. Samsung TVs, cheap Samsung TV, possibly something like Samsung remote control, because Google's going to think, oh, well, that's kind of connected to Samsung TV. It's broadly related, hence broad match keyword. Broadly related, yeah, go on then. I'll show your ad and I'll charge you another couple of bucks. Thanks for coming. Now, Samsung phone, hopefully it's not going to show for that because that's a little bit too far away from the original intent that we had here of Samsung TV. And what's meant to happen is that the words inside your keywords, so Samsung and TV, are meant to be inside the search query, but Google does allow a little bit of latitude here, and sometimes quite a lot of latitude, and it will show for things like Samsung remote control. I once audited an account that had the what was the keyword? I'll get this the right way round. I think the keyword was Verizon, that someone was bidding on a competitor term. This wasn't Verizon's account, but someone was bidding on the keyword Verizon. They'd spent about 30 grand on it over the past 6 months, I think it was. And almost all of that, or a huge chunk of it, and I can't remember the exact details because this is going back about 8 years, but the search query that it was getting matched to most of the time was mobile phone. So they thought they were showing ads to people that were searching for Verizon, but actually they were showing ads to people searching for mobile phone. And that's the danger with broad match. You don't quite know what you're getting. So I would suggest for your first AdWords account, you stay away from broad match. There are a couple of other types just to round out things here so that you know absolutely everything that you need to know about keywords. Modified broad match, and I'll show you some examples in a minute. You add plus signs to the front of your keywords, and I'll explain how that works in a second, but it's kind of a good in-between, between broad, if you like, and phrase. It gives you a level of control without Google going too crazy. Negative keywords are wonderful things. Negative keywords are how we stop ads showing for certain terms. The most common example for a negative term is free. I'll show you some examples of that in a second. And then close variants, you don't really need to worry about for now, but it just means that Google is allowing itself to show ads for search queries that are very close to your keyword. So even if you have an exact match keyword now, it used to be, when I started out, an exact match keyword would only match exactly that search query. These days, Samsung TV, Samsung TVs, Google will say, close enough. It's almost exact. It's not exact, Google. Yeah, but it's almost exact. I'll take your money. Thanks for coming. All right, let's just have a couple of examples here for modified broad. So if the keyword is plus Samsung, so no space in between the plus and the S, plus Samsung, space, plus TV, what that now tells Google is these two words must be in the search query. They can be in any order because it's not a phrase match. They can be in any order, but they must be in there somewhere. And this gives you that little bit more control, like I said. You're not going to show for something like Samsung remote control now because the word TV is not in that search term. But something like where can I buy a Samsung 4K TV? Samsung and TV, they're in there. So, yep, you can absolutely show for that. Now, if we didn't want to show for that middle one there, cheap Samsung TV, we could add cheap as a negative keyword. And that would say to Google, any search query that contains the word cheap, doesn't matter what the rest of the search query is, but because it's got the word cheap in there, and I've got cheap as a negative keyword in my account, do not show for that. So let's say we were selling Samsung TVs. Some good negative keywords would be things like used or parts. Someone's searching for Samsung TV parts. We don't want to show ads to them. So part and parts might be good negative keywords. Second hand, vintage, used, broken down, or see a doll's house TV or something weird like that. You can start to think of all of these sort of crazy things that people could be typing in, but you do not want to show them ads. That's where negative keywords come in. All right, so now you understand a lot about keywords. We know that we want to go for bottom of the funnel keywords. We're going to certainly start there, and we're probably going to start somewhere in the 5 to 50 range. We're going to use the Google keyword tool and our brains to find a bunch of keywords, and we're probably going to start, I'd maybe suggest with your very first AdWords account, you maybe start with, it really depends on which industry. I can't give you a definitive. Sometimes starting with exact match only might be okay. Sometimes that might be too limiting, and you might want to go one level out and use phrase match. It's really up to you. You're more than welcome to use modified broad, but you're going to have to think a bit harder about your negative keywords if you're going to go with modified broad. And I would strongly suggest that you do not use broad match keywords yet. You can always use those later on. I'll see you in the next module where we'll talk about writing Google ads. See you then.